So today we're going to revisit our JavaScript and along with the HTML, CSS there like that. So what are we going to be doing today? We're going to be building a color games, and how is it going to look like? So our game is going to be something like this. Let me bring another UI. So our game is going to be something like this. We're going to have the page. So inside the page, we're going to have the title of the game, and at that side, we're going to have the colors that we're going to be generating a text to, and down here, the user can select the level of the game, and we're going to have another box here, and inside this box, we're going to have different buttons with different colors. So the goal of this application here is for the user to click on the button that have the color that matches the color that we generated here. So the color code is going to be here, and that color code is going to be part of the button here. So it's then left for the user to click on the button that matches the color code that is here. And if the user click on the correct one, we display a message for them that they pick the correct color. And if they click on any button there that did not match the code that is here, then we'll tell them that the color that they click on did not match what they are supposed to click. And from there, they can restart the game again if they want to, or just stop there if they don't want to restart the game. And this thing here is going to come with a lot of JavaScript stuff that we need to put together, ranging from the HTML, which what we need to use to arrange the content, along with the CSS there, then the JavaScript to add the interaction to the page. So from JavaScript, we're going to be generating the colors dynamically there. Again, to all the buttons that is going to be here are going to be generated dynamically. So we're going to put everything together. Then in our next class, we start talking about how we can start using frameworks to simplify a lot of code that we're going to be writing in this application there. That one, if you're able to finish it on time. If you're not able to finish it, then we'll complete it. Then after that, we'll move into talking about what is framework, and from there, what are the necessary you need to know before you start jumping into frameworks. Then after that, we now pick the framework, which is going to be the React. There's a lot of framework out there, but the most popular one is React, that which make it easier for us to build this kind of an application easily without doing a lot of code by ourselves from the JavaScript there, because you have to locate the element on the page. After locating the element, you have to add event listener on it. Then from there, you wire a lot of things together. With framework, you don't need to do too much of work. You collocate everything together. You just tell it what you want, and it knows how to undo every other thing behind the scene there, like that. So this is the application we want to work on, like that. So let's start based on the UI that I have, or based on the sample of the stuff that I have here. So I'm going to be calling the name of the stuff is just colors game, like that. So that's the name or the title that is going to display. And what do we have here? So I'm going to be having the main element, which is the one that is going to group everything together. So inside the main element, we have the header section, like that, and we have the section where all the buttons are going to be placed. So right now, I'm just going to place like 8 buttons just for us to see the styling of what is going on there. But we are going to remove all these buttons. They are going to be generated by JavaScript. So we're not going to be, because we don't know the number of buttons that this thing is going to be, because don't forget I said we're going to have game level. Depending on the level of the game, it's going to generate the button that are according to that. So when you're in level 1, it's going to generate 6 buttons. When in level 2, it's going to generate 9 buttons. When you're in level 3, it's going to generate 12 buttons. And when in level, let's just stop at that level 3. So, and since the button is going to be generated based on the level, so it's not going to be inside HTML. It's going to be dynamically there. And we've talked about how you can generate elements from JavaScript, but we're going to go through everything together. So inside this header here, we need to have the title of the application, which I'm going to call this color game, like that. So that's just the title. Then apart from this title, I'm going to have this H3. This is where the color code is going to be placed. So this is how the color code will be, but this one will be generated from JavaScript. But for now, let's just put it like this. So I'm going to have 201. I'm going to have 10 like this, and for this one, I'm going to have 250. So whatever number that is going to be here, the color, it can't pass 250. It's always between 0 and 255, like that I've already talked about when we're dealing with CSS color mode there. So whatever code you want to put inside this your RGB, it will be a number between 0 to 255. But JavaScript will be the one that will be generating this number later on. But for now, let's just leave it like this so that we know how the stuff is going to look like when we're dealing with the styling there, like that. So apart from this, we're going to have a box here for message. So this is where all our message is going to be placed there, like that. And the message can be different types, like that. So I'm going to give it class message, like this. And your message can have error, or if you don't want to show it, then it's not going to come outside. So we can add this class hidden. Once there is class hidden on it, like that, it means this message is not going to show at all. And when there is no class hidden, then that means the message is going to show. Again, too, when there is class error, what this one will just do is to change the color from normal green color to the red color. When something is not okay, we use red color, and when everything is successful, that means they get the color right, then it's going to be green. And again, the message too will be coming from JavaScript. So we're going to be inputting the message. But for now, in order for us to be able to style it down, so I'm just going to put the demo text for message, like that. So in order for us to see the styling, but once we are done with the CSS, this one will be removed, this one will be removed, and JavaScript will be the one that will be generating them. The same thing with the buttons too. But in order for us to see what is going on, so that's why it is like this. And again, we're going to have a select, which is so we need to have select. This is where they can pick the level of the game that they want to play, like that. So here I have the option, so we need to pass the option, which is all the stuff we've talked about when we're dealing with form in HTML. So by default, this is going to be our first one, like that, because the first option you have is always your default one, like that. So what we want to do here is to have this, based on what I mentioned, the level 1 is going to have 6 buttons. So value is the number of buttons you want, but the text we are showing to the user is level 1. And when they click on level 1, this is what we are going to get out of it. So for level 2, they're like that. So when they click on level 2, this is the value we are going to be getting from in JavaScript. And based on this number here, we are going to generate the corresponding buttons. So based on this, we are going to generate the corresponding button. So by default, since it's the first option, this is what we are going to generate. Then if they change the option to any one of them, then it's going to generate the buttons based on the number we have on the value. So for level 3, which is the highest level we have, is going to be 12 buttons that is going to be generated there, like that. So for the header section, this is what we have. So let me go back to the page now by going live, and clicking on this go live, we should have our content on the page. So we should have the content on the page once it's done loading. Yeah, so this is what we have, but we need to transform this into a proper nice design, not like the way it is right now. All this button is not supposed to be like this. It's supposed to look like the way it is here, which are going to be equal like that. So this is the UI we need to have, but we've already generated all the necessary HTML code that we need. The next thing we need to do is to apply the CSS on them. So which means on this page now, we need to link to our CSS, which is something I've already created already. As you can see, the HTML file is there, the JavaScript file is there, and the CSS file is there, but nothing is inside them yet. So we're going to be putting everything there together. So what we need to do now, let me put this in side by side so that we can see what is going on there together. So let me put this into this side, and let me put the code to the other side like this. So now that we have our code, let me reduce this in a little bit like that, so that we have enough space. And again, we can go to the view like this, then word wrap, so that it shows every element on the page. And let me go to the CSS there. So when you are dealing with your CSS, the basic thing you need to do is to do some resets by doing the P0, M0, borders, box sizing to be border box, and so forth like that. So all those spaces setting, you need to undo them. The VS Code, please don't slow down. Don't have time, so M0 M0 M0. Let me type it myself. So box sizing should be border box like this, and this one should make sure that all the spacing around all the elements are removed there like that. So we have this, and as you can see, but I don't like the font is using currently, so I'm going to font family. What's wrong with this VS Code like this? So sans serif like that, and this one should be there with, yeah, so it's going to pick the system UI that you have on your system, and if this one is not available, then it's going to fall back into this sans serif. So the next thing we need to do is to talk to our body, which is going to have a width of 100%. Why is the CSS still loading? Let me pause the recording. Yeah, so we have the width of 100%. So overflow X should be hidden. Overflow X should be hidden like that. We don't want anything to overflow on the X. So the minimum height there is going to be 100 VH. The background is going to be this ditch, or what is the name of the color like that. What's wrong with, is this the recording that is slowing this thing down? All right, so let me resume. Is recording that is slowing this thing down, so I have to go with it like that. So let me save it. We should have all these items on the body, but my live server has stopped, so let me reload it again, which is going to load what is not supposed to load, but I'm going to come back to this page. So I'm waiting for it to load. Yeah, so let me reload. Yeah, so now we have this thing showing on the page already. This is not what I want, so close this one. This is the one I wanted. So what do we need to do here for now? All we just need to do is to display this thing as flex. So display flex like that. So we need to move everything to center, which is going to be align items center. So justified content center like this. Then the padding should be this 1 rem, because I want the spacing around the box. It's the recording that is making it to slow down like that. So what else do we need to do? We need to talk to our main element. So this one is going to have background color of this white. Why does this one change back to? So let me change back to US. So it should be white color like this. So this one too is going to have padding of 1 rem like that. So it's going to be displayed as a flex like this, flex like this. So flex direction is going to be colon like this, because I want to place everything on top of each other. The gap is going to be 1 rem, which is going to be between the header and the button section there like that. So what do we need to have here again? So border radius. So it's going to have a border radius of 0.5 rem like that, which is going to be the radius around the box. All this one is not something that's supposed to be explained again, because we've talked about them countless times like that. So border radius, not radius. Border radius like this. So after that, inside this place we have the header. So this header too, I'm going to display it as a flex like that. So flex direction is going to be column, and the gap is going to be 0.75 rem, which is everything inside the header section there like that. So inside this header we have a h1. So the font size of that one, so the font size is going to be 1.5 rem. By default is 2 rem, but I don't want it to be bigger than that, my color code. And again, everything inside the header, I want to move them to center. So text, so the text align is going to be center. So we're going to justify content to center, align items is going to be center, and once everything is center, we should have them on the screen. So let me move this one up a little bit, and let me move this one down so that they follow, all the flex property follow each other. So let me save, and now we should have it like this. So, and what else do we want to have? I want this thing to have a width of 100% because it's too small, like that. So for small screen, it's going to be 100%, but when it gets to a bigger screen, I don't want it to be more than 500 pixels. So it shouldn't be more than 500 pixels. As you can see here, it has more weight to it. So when you're on small screen that is less than 500, it's going to cover up the entire space. But if it's more than 500, then it will make sure that it doesn't go more than 500. So if I expand it here now, it makes sure that everything is maintain that size, because we don't want this, our game, to just keep going wide anyhow. So it should be a definite width, because the button we're going to put in here, it have the number of items that is going to be there, and we know the number of items, and it can't be more than this. Even this 500 itself, I can reduce it to this 480 like that, because it's going to be 33 buttons per line, and that's the reason why you see that from the HTML code it's 6, 9, 12. So they are in form of 33 per line, like that. So that's why the number is here. So 6, that means 3, you're going to have 2 lines. Then for this one, you're going to have 3 lines, and for this one, you're going to have 4 lines. But for each line, you're going to have 33 buttons. So the stuff shouldn't be more than these 480 pixels if you don't want the button to be too wide. All right. So what else do we need to do? I've reduced this H1. So the H3 that I have there, which is this color here, so I want to increase it. So this is going to be font size of 2.5 rem like that. So the actual color code that is going to be generated by the browser or by the JavaScript there, it's going to be bigger so that they can see the value. So you can see this is the major value. Then based on the value that JavaScript is generated here, we are going to have all the buttons that matches that color. Like part of the button that is going to be here is going to match the color that is this side. But this thing is too big. So let me reduce it a little bit. So now the next thing we have there is the message. So we have the message. This message is going to have the padding of 0.25 rem from top and bottom, then 0.5 rem from left and right, like that, because I'm going to be giving it background. So this background I'm going to use HSL like that, which is going to be, I'll give it 0, 100%, and this is going to be 84%. Yeah, like that. What's wrong with this? It's going to be 84%. So this one is going to give us red color for the background, but it's not going to be red by default. It's supposed to be green. So I'm going to place this thing out to move it to the green side. It's still going to be the color code, but what I'm just changing is that first number so that it give me the green that matches what I have here. And once the stuff change and save, as you can see, it's going to give us the green. The same thing is what I'm going to do for the color, but it's going to be a deeper green. So for the color, it's going to be the same, but instead of it to be 84, it's going to be this 24. So which is going to give us a darker green. So no, we've talked about HSL, so it's not something that's supposed to be going over again like that. So let me increase this side. This padding on the side is really small, so 0.75 like this, so that we have enough space at the edge, and I want it to be rounded. So border radius like this is going to be 0.5 rem, so which means it's going to have a round edge around the message, and I want it to be full everywhere. So the weight is going to be 100%, so which means it's going to fool its entire parent like that. Yeah, so it's going to fool its entire parent like this, and I think the padding top and bottom is really small like that. So let me increase it a little bit. So the font size is going to be 14 pixels, which is 875 rem. So this is 14 pixels instead of the default 16 that is there. So it's going to make the text a little bit smaller compared to the way it is. So when you have a message, so when we have a class message, this is the color is going to show by default. But if that message is not having class hidden, what that means is that we don't want to see that message at all, which is going to be there by default. But for now, I'm just want to use it to style it. So when we have a class hidden, what this thing will just apply is going to be display of none. So which means you don't want to see that element and so like that. And once I save this entire code, what's wrong with VS Code? Once I save this entire code like that, you see that that message is not supposed what's wrong with this thing? Yeah, so the message is not supposed to come outside because we've applied the class hidden. Again too, if you have class error, everything will still remain the same. The only thing we just want to change here is this color, and it's kind of easy with this HSL. What I just need to modify is the first number here, which is the one that is going to give me red. 0 just mean red like that. So now I can save it. It will still not show because I have class hidden, but I'm going to replace it with class error. And as you can see, now we've created a message box that can be error or it can be a success one based on whether this class is there or not. So if there is no class error there, by default it will bring the green color. But if there is class error there, then the color that is going to be there is going to be this red color that is showing on the screen. But right now I'm going to leave it as hidden because we don't want to see it, or it's only when there is an error message or there is any message that we need to show, that's when it's going to come outside. But since we are done with the styling of that, so we don't need to focus on it again. So the next thing we have there is that our select, which we need to just style a little bit, but you can't just style select like that. We just need to change the line around it, and that's all. So here I'm going to apply border to be none or like this because I don't want to see any border around it like that. And I'm going to apply some background or shadow on it so that it can pop out like that. So we have this background or border to be none like that. So I'm going to apply the border radius, which is going to be 0.5 rem, but it's not going to show at all since there is no border. How are you going to see the radius around it? As you can see, it will not show at all like that. But in order for it to show, we need to use box shadow so that we just raise it up a little bit. So box shadow, which is going to on the X is not moving at all, so 0 pixels. On the Y too is not moving at all, which is the same thing as 0 0. But I want it to have this full blur here, which is going to blur the this thing out from the way it is. So close this one. As you can see, it's come out in this way, but I don't want it to use that pure black color that is using right now. So we can specify our own color 0 0 0, then 0.5 like this, or let me just use 0.1, which is black, but we want it to have this kind of I think 0.1 is too small. Let me try 0.4, and I think this 0.4 is too big, so let me try 0.2, and it's okay like this. But we need to have padding inside it, so padding should just be around this 0.5 rem like that, which is going to add more space inside the box. And once this thing is done saving there, we should have it on the screen. We should have it on the screen VS Code. Yeah, so now we have this simple select where the user can select the level of the game. So in JavaScript later on, when you click level 2, it's going to generate the number of button that is mapped to that. When you click level 3, it's going to generate the number of button that is mapped to that, and so forth like that. So now the next thing we need to do from our CSS before we call it a day under CSS is our button section. So here we have the section, so we need to display this one as grid. And why do we need to display it as grid? You know, grid allows you to specify the number of items you want per row. So with grid, you can give a template of the number of items you want per row. If it is flex, you know, flex can place item on top of each other, or it can place them side by side. But you can't just tell it that, okay, the number of items you are going to place side by side has to be 3, has to be 4, has to be 5, and so forth like that. But with grid, it's quite easy to do like that. So if I do this one now, as you can see, all these buttons now, they are now stacked on top of each other. So in order for you to see, that's not one button, no, there are multiple buttons there. So in order for us to see, let me just give it a gap of 1 rem like this, so that you can see that it's not just one item here, there are multiple items stacked on top of each other. So once this thing is saved and it's get to the browser, you'll see that they are going to be spaced from each other. But I don't want it to be stacked on top of each other like that. I want it to be 3 per line. So it's going to be, as you can see, each one of them are there like that. But I don't want it to be like that. I want it to be 3 per line. And how do you tell to this thing to be 3 per line? We can use our grid template columns. With grid template columns, you can specify how this thing is going to arrange each column there like that. And the number of columns you put here, that's what is always going to be per line. So grid template columns like this. So if I want it to be 3, what I can just do is here is 1FR, 1FR. And what am I saying here? I'm saying that for each row, we want to have 2 columns. And each one of them is going to be 1FR, 1FR. And what is 1FR? You know, this is fractional unit. It means this one will be 1/2 and this one will be 1/2. Where is 2 coming from is the addition of all your fractional units. So this is 1, this is 1. That means 2. So this one is going to be 1/2 and this one is going to be 1/2. And you know 1/2 is just half. So which means for each row, each one of the button I want to have there, which is going to be 2 like this, they are going to take half. And if I save it now, so you can see it's going to be 2 per line. But you know the stuff we are working with is not going to be 2, it's going to be 3. So which means here now is now going to be 1/3, 1/3, and 1/3. And if you want to use other units, you can use it. But here, based on what we are working on, I know that it's always going to be 3 because of the way we arrange the number. So 6, we know that the fourth so is going to have 2 lines. When it is here, it's going to be 3 lines. When it is here, it's going to be 4 lines because this number is here. You can arrange them in 3. So that's why this one is in 3. If you are using another number, then you calculate it, and based on that, you give it the number of line that you want this thing to hold. But instead of me using this method to just be repeating myself like this, we can use repeat like that. So I want to repeat 3 times 1FR, which is the same thing as what I'm typing before, because with this one I make it easier for me to just change the number. So if I want to be arranging in 6 per line, I just need to update the number here like that. But for now, we're going to be going with the 3. So inside the button, what do we need to do? So we need to increase the height of our button because the button is too small like that. So let me just try 50 pixels and see if it is okay. And if it is okay, I will go with it. If it's not, then I will update it until it's okay for the design we are working on. And don't forget, everything we are doing here is assuming that this thing is going to look nice on the mobile design too. And as you can see right now, this is how it looks like. But if you go to mobile, so is it looking nice there too? So we can toggle the mobile this thing, and yeah, I can see it actually looking nice. But even though this thing is not arranged properly like that, so let me reset my dev tools. Yeah, I think it looks nice too on the mobile like that. So yeah, so it looks nice. Let me remove it and just take it back to the way it is before. So this is the button. The button is not showing that it's something that is clickable like that. So we can add our cursor of pointer because the user have to click on this button later on based on the one that they think it matches this color code like that. So all the colors, this thing that you're seeing here, we are going to change the background color. So the color that the JavaScript will be generated here like that. And one of the color is going to be from this code. Is unless for the user to click the one that have this color code. That's all about the game like that. So save. So I don't like that line around everything. So there, so the border is going to be none. We don't need the border at all around the button. Again, the background, I'm not setting any background right now. The background is going to be set from JavaScript. Since the button will be generated from JavaScript, is the other design that we are focusing on right now. So we're going to have the border. So the border radius like this, which is going to be this 0.5 rem like that. So let me save. And once this thing is saved and it get to the browser, we should have this thing on the page like that. So let me save this in. Yeah, so this is the button, and again we need to add some styling to this thing there like that. So anytime this button is over like that, so we want to transform. So we want to transform like this, transform. Then we want to scale it. Scale means that you want to, you know, whatever the size it is before, you either increase it or you decrease it. 1 is what is there by default. So which means the stuff is not going to change at all like that. But if I want it to go up a little bit, I can just increase the number like this. So which means anytime I'm on top of the button, it will just increase the height, or it will increase the button by 10%. That's what it's just doing. This is 0.1. So which means it's going to increase the button by 10% of whatever that is there. If you want to increase it, if you want to times 2, you can just use 2. So which means whatever the size before, it will times 2 that size. So that's what that thing is doing there. But you know, this times 2 is not making sense. So that's why I just increase it a little bit. It's just 10%, not by 2%. But if you look at it, the stuff is too sharp. It's changing sharply. So we don't want it to be like that. You know, when you want to control how the value changes, you need to use transition. So from transition here, we want to transition transform. And anytime the transform is changing, we want it to take 0.5 seconds linear like this. So which means it's going to take 0.5 seconds to move from whatever it is before to this new value when we over, as you can see now. And this 0.5 seconds is too slow. Let me use 0.3 seconds like that. So as you can see, so it's going to give us this kind of a nice animation layer like that. So anytime you move on top of any one of them, it's going to you know, pop up like this with this number of 3 milliseconds to activate like that. So anytime it is over, it will scale it up. If you want to do any other thing with this transform, you know, we have like rotate too. Maybe if you want to rotate the stuff, which is not making sense right now. So for example, I can rotate it by 45 degrees. So when I get there, as you can see, it will be rotating like that, which is not or if you want, you can use 2 degrees, which is really small like that. So as you can see, so it's always going to rotate a little bit like that. So 2 degrees, just a little bit. Or if you want, you can just do it 1 degree, which is just tiny rotates like that. So I think it's nice like this. So we are done with the HTML CSS like this. So we are done with our HTML and with the CSS. So where the major work is now is the JavaScript. So all the buttons we have here, they are not going to be like this. So I'm going to remove it because this button will be generated from JavaScript. But in order for us to see the CSS, that's why I just use all those one as demo. So I'm going to remove it like this. Again, the message that is here, I'm going to remove it right now because the message, we don't have any message when the game first starts. So there won't be any message at all. Again, here too, the code that will be here will be generated by JavaScript. So by default, what I'm just going to put here is loading. So this is what I'm just going to put here by default. So it's just going to show loading. And once JavaScript is loaded, then and once JavaScript generated whatever code you want to generate, then it's going to replace it like that. So let's connect our JavaScript code. And you know, to connect your JavaScript code, we need to use the script tag like that. So we need to pass the source of the script since we want to put it in its own file, which is going to be this index.js like that. And this should connect to our JavaScript code like that. And now what do we need to do here? So you know, there's a lot of things we need to interact with on the page. Even though we're going to be generating some from a JavaScript, there's some other one we need to interact from the page. So like this one now, we need to have access to it. This level, we need to have access to it because anytime the user change the level, we need to do something. So we need to have access to this. And again too, we need to have access to this section. But that's where we're going to be putting the button we want to generate there. So first, let's create so I'm going to have this const like this, which is going to be, I'm going to call it computer color box. So computer color box. So this is what I'm calling computer color box. This box here is where that's what I want to target. And what is that? So that's document like that, then query selector like that. So query selector, and what am I looking for? I'm looking for the h3 because that's the element here. So and that's the only h3 I have on the page. That's why I'm not putting class on them. So since the only h3 I have on the page, that's the reason why I'm not putting anything on it. The same thing with this h1. I don't even need the h1 at all there like that. The same thing select. I only have one select. I can target that one too like that. So yeah, for this level, I'm going to call it the level select like that. So this level select, which is going to be document query selector like this. So that one too, we only have one select on the page. So this one is going to give us the select element. What else are we selecting? We are selecting the button box. So we are selecting the button box, which is going to be document, then query selector like this. And this one is going to be section because we know that that's where we're going to be putting all our buttons that are going to be generated from JavaScript. So now we have all the elements that we want to work with from the HTML page. The next thing we need to have access to is that we need to keep tracking of the level there, and again we need to keep tracking the value that the computer pick, and again we need to keep tracking of the value that the user is going to, like the button here, the user is going to click on a button, and whatever button that they click on, that's their answer. So we need to track the answer of the user. We need to track whatever the computer pick, because you are going to be comparing it later on again with the user pick. And since you need to track them, so we are going to create variable here to keep tracking them. So the first variable we are going to create here is going to be the game level. And as you can see here, I'm using let. I'm not using const because it's something that is going to change. Now, when you're declaring your variable, if it is const, it means you cannot change it. But if it is let, it means you can change it later on. And why am I using let is because the user can change the game level. So it's going to be 1 by default, but they can change it to 2, you can change it to 3, and they can change it back to 1. And since they can change this value, that's why we are using let for the game like that. And by default, it's going to be 6, which is going to correspond to level 1. So whatever you put here needs to correspond to your default setting that you want. If you want your level to be 3 by default, then you make sure that the 3 is the one that is selected, and again you put the value of 3 here. But since it's going to be this, so I'm going to leave it like that. Again, I'm going to track in the computer, so we need to have the computer color like that. So computer color code, which is going to be empty by default, because when the game first starts, there won't be anything like that until it is generated. And at the same time too, we're going to have the user color code. So whatever the button that the user click on, we extract the code here, and we compare it against the computer one. And if it is the same thing, then we display the message that they won the game. But if it's not the same thing, then we display the error message that they did not win the game, that they picked the wrong color, or they picked the wrong buttons there like that. So what else do we need to do here? So we need to create a function that is going to be generating random color for us. So we need to create a function that is going to be generating random color for us there like that. And I think I've already shown you how you can generate random value in JavaScript, but I'm going to go over it again like that. So in JavaScript, when you want to generate a random number, we have this math.random. But this math.random is not going to give you the number that you want. It's not going to give you the number that you actually want. It will only generate a number between 0 and 1. So this is what it's going to give you. It's going to give you a number between 0 and 1. And this bracket means it's not even getting to 1. That's what it means. Whatever number is going to be generating for you, the number will never be up to 1. So that's what this bracket means. Like that. Even this one too. So it's going to be like this. So what is going to generate for you is a number between 0 and 1. But if you know is here, the color code that we want to generate it there like that. So the color code we want to generate it, or the color code that we want is going to be something like this, RGB like that. Then inside this place you have the X, or you are going to have the red. So we need to generate the red, we need to generate the green, and we need to generate the blue. So this red, this green, and this blue here, they are numbers that is going to be between 0 and 255. So, and we need to generate all these things randomly. That means anytime they are playing the game, the stuff should never be the same every time. It should be changing from one value to another. And we don't want to be doing this thing by ourselves, so we can use this random to generate a number between 0 and 255. But how do we generate a number between 0 and 255 if the stuff is only generating the number between 0 and 1? It's quite easy. To generate a number between 0 and a particular number, just multiply the highest number, the end number, by this random. So since I want to generate 255, then it means I need to multiply by 256. So what this thing will do is that it will generate a number between 0 and this 256, not including 256. So it will never include 256 because the stuff is not getting to 1. So what it will do is that anytime it generates a random number, that random number will be multiplied by 256. And the number we are going to get back is going to be a number between 0 and this number, not including this number. So if I press enter, as you can see now, the number has been converted to something in a range of 0 and 256. So if I call it again, as you can see, now it's generating 168. If I press it again, now it generates 15. If I press it again, now it generates this 160. If I press it again, now it's generate 250 and so forth like that. So anytime you call it, it will always generate a random number between 0 and the number that you multiply with it, like that. But again, the number we want in our this stuff is going to be whole number, not the decimal number like this. So we don't want decimal number. So how do you remove the decimal part? It's quite easy too. We can use this math.floor. And what this math.floor is going to do is that it will always remove decimal points and the number that follows it there like that. It will always run them down to 0, or what you just think of it as, it's always returning the number before the decimal point. That's the job of this floor. When you use math.floor, it will return the number before the decimal point. So it means here if I use 2, 3, whatever stuff, that's the number you get back. Any decimal part will be removed. So if I use 5 whatever stuff, all those decimal parts, they are useless. It will just return only the number before the decimal part, which is what you need here, because we need 15, we need 168, we need 160, we need 250. We don't care about the decimal part because the color code is always whole number. So we don't need the decimal part. So now we can combine these two codes together to get our stuff. So what we can do here is now to put everything inside this math.floor. So this math.random multiplied by this, and once you press enter, as you can see now, we are now going to be getting a whole number, which is 0 and whatever number you pass into it. So as you can see, it will always generate a number between 0 and 256 like that, because we want it to get to 255, but it's not every time. So as you can see, it will always be giving us a number there like that. So this thing we have here now, we can create a function that is going to be doing this thing for us anytime we need a random number. So here now, what we just need to do is to create a function which is going to generate a random number like that. So this is the job of this function, and what the function will do is just to return everything that I just do there now, which is going to return math.floor, and inside it we are going to have math.random, then multiply by 256. So this function, anytime we call it, it will always return a random number for us, because we want to be doing this thing again and again. So it's better we create a function for it like that. So for example here now, I can just come down here and just use the console then .log like this, and I can call this function multiple times like that. So paste, and again duplicate the stuff multiple times, then save the code, and once you save, you see that it will generate different numbers for us. So it will generate different numbers for us. But if you look at it, some of the number, they are not up to 10 like that. It's not up to 3 numbers. So we can actually make sure that it's up to that, because on the UI we want it to display 3 number. So from here we can convert this thing to string like that. So what we can just do is to use this our template string, then at the end we can use pad. So pad start. So what is pad start? What is this thing going to do? So when you have a string, for example here I have a text. So if this number of text you have here is not up to what you want, you can pad the start or you can pad the end. So if I do pad start like that, so pad start, what this thing means is that if this number is not up to whatever number of length you pass here, for example if I pass 7, what I'm saying is that this text must be up to 7 characters. But if it is not up to 7 characters, you want to feed the remaining one with whatever you pass here. So whatever you pass here, as you can see, that's what is going to use to feed the remaining space that is left. What you are saying is that this thing must be 7 characters. If it is not up to 7 characters, then feed the remaining space with what I pass here. So here now, instead of Z, if I pass 0 there, as you can see, the number that we have is 1, 2, 3, 4, but it's supposed to be up to 7. Since it's not up to 7, how many is it remaining to complete 7? 3. That's why it replaces the remaining one with 3. The same thing with your number here. Our number is supposed to be 3 length, but now if you have 2, what we can do here is just to do pad start like that. So how many do we want? We want 3, but if it's not up to 3, we want to, as you can see now, so since the number is not up to 3, it will feed the remaining one with whatever you pass here. So whatever you pass at that second argument, that's what is going to feed. So if I put A here, that's what is going to use to complete it. So if it is one number you have here, it will put 2A so that it's complete 3. It must complete this 3. If it's not up to 3, it will feed the remaining one with that. But if it's already completed, then it will not do anything. For example, if I have 156, then it will not do anything because it's already 3. So As long the number is not up to 3, it will fill it with this stuff that you have here. And that's what we want to do, because you look at it, some of the number might not be up to 3. So since they are not up to 3, we need to fill the remaining one with 0, because that's how this thing is going to work out there, because you don't know whether it's going to be 3 or it's going to be 1 and it's going to be 2. But part start, once you give it, it will check. So it will check whether it is 3. If it is 3, it will not do anything. But if it's not 3, then it will fill the remaining space with 0. So which means now if I run this stuff again and it generates another number for us, as you can see, all those ones that are not up to 3, it has already filled them with this. So normally it's generating 20, but because it's not up to 3 letter, then it's filled the remaining one with 0 like that. So that by the time we put it on the screen, each one of them are going to be 3 character. Not that it's going to, one will be 2, one will be 1. It will not make the UI to be consistent like that, because it will be changing the UI. So we want the stuff to display it correctly for us like this. So, but we are not going to be calling the stuff in this way. So we need to create another function now. So function generate random color like this. So this is one that is now going to generate random color code. So this is the one that is going to generate the actual code. Don't forget, the color code is RGB. What we generated before is number, but now we need to generate the color code, which is going to be this X, Y, Z like this. So X, Y, and Z here is what is going to be random, which is the function we've created at the top here. So what we just need to do is to generate our color. So for example, const red, which is going to be the X, like that, is going to be generate random number. So this one will give us the color for the red. Again, const green, which is the second one, which is the G, which is going to be generated. Don't forget, anytime you call this generate random number, is going to be generating random number each time, not that it will be the same. And last one, we have the blue, which is going to be this generate random number. So this one now, anytime we call our generate random color code, it will generate the value for red, which is this X, generate the value for green, which is Y, generate the value for blue, which is this Z, like that. But now we need to return it in this way. This is the way it's supposed to be returned back to us. So what we just need to do now, anytime you call the function, is going to return this RGB like this. Then we are going to pass the value of red, so comma. Then we need to pass the value of green and comma, and we need to pass the value of blue. So don't forget, I've talked about this backtick. Backtick allows you to put JavaScript code inside string. This is string, but we are telling you that to evaluate all this value first, and the result of all this value is what is going to use at this place. So which means now, if I call this generate random color multiple times, so for example CLG like this, so call this same multiple times. So if I call it multiple times like that, you'll see that it's going to generate random, as you can see, the first time, the second time, the third time, and so forth like that. And this is what we want. So the color code, anytime we call that function, is always going to give us a random color code like that. And that's what we want to do when we are playing the game. So when we start the game, it will generate all the code that we want based on the game level. Then from it, the computer is going to pick one out of it, and the one that the computer pick is what we are going to display here. So based on the color or based on the game level, we are going to generate the colors that we want. Don't forget, we are going to be generating buttons, but the button is based on this, and the color that is going to be on them is going to be based on what they have there. So I'm going to create another function here, but what am I creating function is to make this thing simpler, so that when I need to reuse this function, I don't need to start creating this code again. As you can see now, these 3 lines now, instead of me doing it like this, I can just copy them, this line, paste it here, and paste it here. And if I need to change something, it means I need to change it in 3 lines, which is bad. So since I need to reuse it, that's why I create a function for it. So in case I need to change anything, I will only change it here, and it's going to take effect in anywhere I'm using it. The same thing with this generate random color code too. I'm going to be using it again and again. And since I'm going to be using it, instead of me just, creating this code again and again every time, I have this thing attached to a function. And anywhere I need it, I will just call the function. That's the same thing I want to do with this start game. So this start game, anytime it is called, what is it going to do for us? So the first thing it's going to do for us is to generate colors based on the game level. So this is what it's going to do. So this is what we want to do inside this function. Anytime we call this start game, which is something we need to call when your game starts for the first time, you need to call it, and we're still going to be calling it again anytime we are changing the level of the game. Once you change the level of the game, it will call that function so that it can reset everything again there. So what it's going to do for the first time, the first thing we need to do is to generate the colors based on the level. So if your levels is 6, it needs to generate 6 color. If the level is 12, it needs to generate 12 colors. If the level is 9, it needs to generate 9 colors like that. But how do we generate multiple colors? You know, that's where array comes in there. So we can have array of colors like this. But how do we generate based on this level? So let me show this thing here too, because all this thing with everything we are using in this stuff or in this game, we've already talked about them when we are dealing with normal JavaScript there. So let me clear everything. So when you want to create array in JavaScript that you already know the length, you know what you can just do is to pass the stuff like this. So you are creating array of how many value here? 4. But what if you don't have the value yet? So you know you can just create the empty array down, then later on you can put the value inside it. But how do you create array, empty array? Of course, if you look at it now, it's just array with no length at all, which means this thing doesn't have any length. But we want to create an array of this number of length. But you know the number of lengths, you can't just pass it directly at 6 because it can change when they are playing game. So it can change from 6 to 9, it can change to 12, or it can even change back to 6. So you don't add code the stuff, it's going to be based on whatever the user picks. So you want this thing to be based on whatever the user picks. So to create array of a particular length, or to create array of empty length that have a particular length there like that, what you can do is to use this new array. So this, you know, I told you this is another way of creating array, but the one we normally use is just this one because it's kind of as simple. But with this one, it allows us to pass the number of items we want to generate on the fly. So here now, if I pass 6, what can you see? It's going to generate empty array with 6 length. It's not like this one that is 0. But if you look at this one now, it generates empty. Nothing is there, but it has already created a slot of 6 space for us. So if I want to create another one, maybe it's based on 12 now, I can just pass 12 here. Look at this one. It will create array, but it's going to give all the slots of 12 items. And now we can start putting the value at any of the slots that we want there like that. But how do we put the value? So array come with a lot of goodies, a lot of methods that we can use to put something inside it like that. One of them is this field. So what is field? What field we do is that anytime you use it on your array like that, whatever you pass here, that's what is going to pull inside that your array that you created. So we are creating 12 array, then all those empty space we are filling it by 0. So when you create your array, what it's going to do is that it's empty by default. So if you don't give it any value, it's going to be empty. But we don't want it to be empty. We are filling those empty space with 0 like this. So that's what fill does for you when you're dealing with array. Whatever you pass here, that's what is going to fill. As you can see, I'm creating 12, then fill it with X. All the space that is going to be created, they are not going to be empty again. It's not going to fill them with this stuff. But this is not going to give us what we want. Why? Because it's not just one value we want to fill there. We want to fill some random colors that were going to be generated through this our function. So one way of doing this stuff is by doing it in this way, by doing this array. So let me type it first. We have this array, then based on the game level. Don't forget the game level is what is determining the number of buttons. Then from there we fill it with 0, and those items now we want to map them to another set of value. So what is map in array? So what this map does is this. So let me bring out the UI so that you can see this in action. So when you are talking about map, for example, imagine you have a list of 1, 2, and 3 items, but you want to map this into their square. So this is 1, this is 4, and this is 9. So this is what we call map. You are mapping 1 to the square of 1. You are mapping 2 to the square of 2, like that, and you are mapping 3 to the square of 3. So this line is just like you have x raised to power 2. X is whatever value you have here. then it map it to another set of value, and you get a new set of array. As you can see, this one too is array on its own, and this is another array. So this is the input. So we have our input, which is what you can think of this 0 0 here. So this 0 0 now, we want to map it to another thing. So whatever you return from your map, that's what this thing is going to generate as a new set of value for here. So we create empty array here based on the level. We fill everything with 0. Then after filling everything with 0, which is going to look like this, then we map through them one by one, which is going to give you the value that I don't need right now. We are going to be needing it later on. If you need the value, you can actually receive it here. So whatever value that is inside your array. So for the first time, CA is going to be this 0. The second time, CA is going to be this. It's going to be this for the third time, and so forth like that. So if you need that value, you can receive it under the function you are passing to the map. Whatever function you pass to the map, that function is going to receive the value based on whatever array you generate here, like that. And whatever you return from here, that's the value you are mapping to it, just like what I have here. So for the first time, the value is going to be 1. So whatever value you return, that's what is going to be set here. So the second time is going to the array. The second time is going to give you 2. Whatever value you return, that's what is going to use here. The next time it will give you 3. And whatever stuff you return from that map, that's what is going to use here. And that's what I want to do. For every of the value that is here, what I just want to do is to call this my generate random code. So which means for each one of them of the color is going to return. Don't forget, this one too is return RGB like that. So anytime this thing is called, enter our game is called, which is the start game, like that. So these colors now is going to be generated, which is array of this number of items here based on the game level. So since it's 6 by default, it will generate empty array, but that empty array is having length 6, but we are filling everything with 0 so that we can map through each one of them and replace it with the new, or replace it with the color that we want to show there. And now if I save this in there and go to the page, you see that it generates. Can you see now? So what it does the first time is that it generates empty array of 6 length. Then after generating array of 6 length, it puts 0 inside each one of them. Then after putting 0 each one of them, then we map through it. I don't need this one right now. So it mapped through each one of them. So for each one of them is returning a new code that is being generated. And that's what you are seeing here. So for the first time, it will return random color. Again, it will call this in again. And don't forget, for each one of them, there's a random number that is getting generated. So which means every time you call this in, you always get a new set of code there like that. And as you can see now, we've generated all the stuff that we want. But what do we need to do here? We need to set the computer color code. So out of this one now, we need to pick the one that is meant for the computer there. But how do we pick it too? So we do the same thing. We do the random selection. So inside this color now, we need to pick the computer color like that. And how do we pick computer color? So we just need to set it here. So we've already set our variable at the top. We just need to replace whatever that is there, not box. So it is going to be color code, which is now going to be colors. But don't forget, we want to pick it at random too. And to pick something at random here, we can just create the random index. So const random index like this. So how do you create random index based on your color? It's still the same thing that we used before. So math.random like this, and then we need to pass everything to the floor. So math dot let me type everything out, floor, then multiply by the colors. So colors dot length, whatever the length of the color. So look at it, because what we want to do here is to pick a random value in between this length here. And in order for this thing to work, look at it, how many this thing do we have here? 6. So now if I do math dot floor like this, then math dot random like this, random, then multiply by 6. That's just assuming it's 6 right now. So if I press enter, as you can see, at random is going to pick, so which means the computer now is going to pick the value here. After it generates all these colors, then assuming this is the index or the computer, then it's going to pick the value here. So the next time we start the game and it generates the color again, as you can see now, the next time it's generating the color, the index is going to pick is this one. So which means it will not be the same thing every time. So if I press it again, as you can see, it picked it. the second one, but the color would already changed because I'm not generating the color again. And that's what we are doing here. So when we generate our colors, we need to pick the one for the computer. But that computer one too, we want to pick the index at random. And in order for us to pick the index as random, that's what I have here. To multiply this stuff, the length of the colors. Now, if it is 6, that means this is here. If it is 12, that means here will be 12. If it is 9, that means here will be 9. And it will multiply by this, then floor it so that we can get whole number there. And that's what we are going to use to pick the computer color code. So here now, you are going to see that here now we are going to be saying computer color code like that. So let me save everything after we've already generated the color and we've get the computer color code like that. I have another class. Let me see. I just saw a message now. So let this load, and once it's done loading, you see, yeah, the other one has messaged me. This is where I will stop, but let it load first. I was wrong with this thing. Yeah, so once it's load, as you can see now, so it generates 6 colors for us, but out of these 6, can you see it picked the one? So which one is this one? It picked the one at this side. So this is one it picked out of the 6 colors. So if I reload the page again, you see that it will generate another set of colors. But now look at the one it picked. So the one that have 02, like you can see, it still picked this one once again. Let me reload it like that. So code again, you see 153. So can you see it picked this one? So it's always going to, after the color has been generated, it will pick one out of them for the computer. And that computer one that is picked is what we want to display here. So whatever it picked for the computer, that's what we display here. Then for the remaining color, we now generate the button that we want to show on the screen. And I'm going to quickly do that right now. Then we continue from there in the next class because I'm supposed to be in another class right now. So what we just need to do now is to update. So the next thing we need to do after we've already generated, so let me be putting it here, the comment there. So select a color for computer there at random. So at random. Then after that, update the UI for the computer color like that, and at the same time update the UI for the buttons because we need to show all our buttons based on these colors. So now to update this one is simple like that. So for this one we just need to update our computer color box. So this one is going to be computer color box, then the inner HTML. We are just replacing whatever that is here before, so which is going to be this computer color code like that. So computer color code. So save the code, and now let's go back to the screen, and once you can you see, so it's just going to display. So every time we reload, you can see right now it's pick 252, that's the value there. So if I reload the page, you see that the color will be changing every time because it's picking them at random. So if I reload again, it will generate another set of 6 colors, and out of that 6 color it will pick it. But later on in the next class, we need to change the level. So if you click on this level, it needs to regenerate the color again based on the new level. It will not be 6 again since level 2 is 9. So it's supposed to be 9. So that's what is going to or I don't even need to wait for next class to do that one. So I can just add it here by just doing that our select or level select, because that one is simple. All this one is simple. We just need to add event listener, and what type of event we need to add here? We need to add change. So anytime this stuff is changed, we want to do something. What do we want to do? We want to receive the event that occur like that. On this event, we know that the select actually have whatever you select there like that. So to get the value sequence level is going to be this event dot target. I'm going to showcase all the same properly in the next class. Then dot value like that. But we need to convert this into number because whatever we are picking needs to be number. So event dot target is your select, and that on your select you have the value there, which is whatever item you pick here. Anything you pick here, so whatever you have in your HTML code, so this is the value. So whatever you set at the value, that's what we are getting here. So any of the items, whatever you set at the value here, that's what we are going to get here. But don't forget, what we set here is not number, it's string, because everything that is coming from the page, they are string. That's why I'm converting it to number. But I can console log it out so that you see what is here. So if I console log out this event, then dot target, which is going to give us that our distance. Then after we get the level, no, please no. So we just need to set it our game level like that. So you can see game level is 6 by default, but anytime you click or anytime you change your select there like that, it will replace whatever you have there. Then from there we can just call our start game again, because you need to reset the game like that. And once this one is saved like that, so go back to the page. By default it's going to be generating 6, but now if I click on the level, so if I change it to, can you see now, it's now generating 12, and out of that 12 it has picked 1. And look at the select, so it's going to give us the select, and on that select there is value there, which is whatever you put inside your option. That's what it's going to pick. Again, if I pick level 2, you see now it's now picking 9, and again if I do level 1, it's go back to 6, but it will always restart the game every time like that. And we need to display the button, we need to update the button. To update the button too is just simple. So we need to get all our elements. We need to do mapping here too, like that, or we need to do mapping here too. So to do the mappings, what we just need to do here is to generate buttons based on the color here. No, let's assume this is our color code. So for each one of them, we want to generate buttons here. So the second time, generate the button for that. Third time, generate the button for that, and so forth like that. So how do I do that here? So I'm going to have these elements like this, which is going to be the colors, the game map. Please, anytime you are doing map, you are not replacing what is here. You are generating a new set of array based on what is here. So which means everything we did here, we did not replace what is here. We did not replace this value. What we did is that we use this value to generate a new set of array. The same thing here too. Just because I'm mapping over the color doesn't mean I'm changing what is inside color. It's going to return a new set of array. It's not replacing what is here. It's just calculating, or it's generating a new array based on the one you have here. Based on the one you have here. So not that it's replacing it. So here now, what I need to do is to receive the color. Then once I receive the color, what do I need to do? I need to create the button. So btn is going to be document, then create elements. I will explain all this thing better in the next class. So we create the button. So what do we need to do? So this btn now style, then background. So we need to update it with whatever the color that the computer is generating. So for each one of the color we have here, is going to generate buttons. And don't forget, let me console log it out for you. So we are going to console add element. When you use map, it's not replacing what is here. Whatever you return here, that's what is going to map. So for example now, if you look at this now, the 12 number, the first time it will generate a button for this, and the color, like means this thing that I'm receiving here. So this color here is going to be corresponding to this. The second time it's going to run again, is going to be correspond to this. The third time, the first time, and so forth like that until it get to the end. And it's going to return back whatever you return from here. You can see I have not returned anything. So in order for this thing to work, I need to return the button that I just created now. So for every time this thing is going to run, it's going to create a new button. That new button, it will send the background color on it, then it will return it back to us. And that's what is going to be set on this element. And once I reload the page here, you see that, can you see? So since it's 6 colors, it's going to generate the corresponding 6 button. If it is this one, as you can see, it's 9, it's going to generate the corresponding 9 buttons. And from there, we just need to update the UI by putting it on the screen. And to put it on the screen, what do? We just need to call that our buttons box, then inner HTML in case you want to set it, but we need to remove whatever that is there before. I'm going to comment this. I'm going to put this one here. I will explain it better in the next class. Then buttons box like this, then append. You know, when you want to add something, you just do append and you pass all the elements that you want to put inside it. All these things, I will explain it better in the next class. I just want to write them down so that we don't need to waste time again when we get to the next class. As you can see now, it's generated 6 colors because that's level 1. For level 2, as you can see, it's going to generate a new set of color. For level 3, it's going to generate another color. For level 1, again, it will generate 6. Level 2, level 3, level 2, and every time it's only going to generate a new color. So what the user needs to do now is to click on any one of them. Then once they click, we check whether the one they click here matches what is there. If it's the same thing, we display the message for success. But if it's not, we display the message for error, and we bring another button for them to restart the game, or we restart the game for them to restart the game if they want to do. And if they restart the game, we'll call this function again, just like the way we call it here, like that. So that's what we're going to be doing in the next class. Yeah, so I will just leave this one Yeah, like that. Time has really gone and the other person is waiting. Okay, that will be all for today. So this is all for today. In the next class, I will go over the stuff once again, this function under the start game, and explain this side better, everything we are doing here, like that. And after that, we're going to be doing some other stuff that we need to do. That will be all. Let me stop recording.